Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I'm really excited because we're doing something completely new and hopefully something that we'll stick to for a while. It's corrupted. What do you mean they're corrupted? It's corrupted. But they were fine 2 seconds ago. They're not anymore. Well, it seems like we're off to a great start already. Clearly you are not on a great start. But that won't stop us. The proof is in the pudding. And as you guys will see, everything will be just fine. The rest of this playthrough will be absolutely perfect. There won't be a single problem.
There will be big problems.
Yeah, no, there won't be a single problem. Not only that, it'll be the best playthrough you'll ever see. Yeah. Welcome to 99 Days of Imperfect Survival Minecraft. Going back to where we started, sort of, I was clearing out a ton of space for where I want to build my base. As you can see, I'm positioned on a jungle plateau overlooking this river, and you'll see there's a village to my left, and that is going to come in really handy for us later. I just did some terraforming, and I was really not worried about mobs at this point. Started growing some bamboo so we can have access to that wood, hunted some mobs, found this nice azalea tree, and I decided to cut it down, hopefully get some bushes for it, because at this point in time I didn't have any access to those nice leaves. Did some more exploring and noticed that I was in a very nice place in the world. I mean, just look at that. It was such a nice view all around, and I was very confident in my location that I had picked to put my base in. Did some more terraforming. I wasn't even worried about making a base yet. I just wanted to make some nice formations in the terrain, and in this case I want to make one so I could lead it down to a riverside farm. Very basic, but at this point I had to worry about getting food, something that would be sustainable in case the animals ran out. I started mining for some terracotta. I need some white terracotta specifically, so that's why you see me mining in that specific strip. Didn't take too long, and I got just enough, and that also regular terracotta would come in handy later on. Now, as I went to cut some trees, I was going back to my house, and this little fucker right here, he started chasing the shit out of me. Now, I thought it was a regular zombie. I thought this was a bedrock zombie, and I was deeply mistaken. Him pausing after I would hit him would completely throw me off. And at this point, I'm shitting bricks, okay? Like, this is like, I'm in trouble right here. We totally didn't have to replace our trousers. Here I was messing around with some of the debugs because I was trying to figure out, I wanted the tooltips debug where I could see the durability of my tools. And I finally managed to figure it out. And I was just exploring and looking at all the cool things you can do in Java that you can't do in Bedrock. At this point, we're at day 4. The night of day 4, at least. So we did a bit more monster hunting and just getting some XP slowly but surely while we get the chance. Decided to look at that Enderman so that I could start getting some pearls early on because we're going to need them. Now this drowned interrupted me when I was fighting that Enderman, and holy shit, that was a lot of damage. That is nothing like a bedrock drowned. He launched that trident so freaking far, I could not believe it. But we found this little doggy friend, and we really wanted to tame him. I really wanted to tame this nice little pup. So I went to check my chest, found that I had bones, and I was quite pleased. And just like that, I had myself a friend. I continued doing some terraforming at this point, and I began putting down the wood frame for my house, my soon-to-be base. Then I realized that I was off by a couple blocks, so I had to replace it all. So I spared you guys from having to endure all that replacement. I then stripped the wood a little bit, and I began mining a face into the cliff, well, into the hill, I should say, so I could make myself a mine shaft. And I began digging down, slowly but surely, into the depths of this Minecraft world. As I was mining, I found some smooth basalt. and I realized that there was an amethyst geode. So I dug my way around to see if this geode was open or closed. Now, if I remember correctly, 95% of geodes are open, and 5% that are left are closed, meaning completely enclosed and there's not an opening in them. Now, I have no clue if this one was yet to be opened or not, so I continued digging and got distracted by mining this clay because I needed some for my build. But I looked around just to make sure there was nothing interesting going on. Got some iron because I desperately needed that at that point. So I decided to dig into this geode because I want to make sure if it was closed or not. And at this point, I realized, oh, it is open. So either way, we had ourselves access to amethyst materials and whatever else we may have needed. So I decided to keep exploring this cave, and it turns out that it was quite massive. So I had myself some work to do. Decided to trigger the shit out of this Enderman so I can get myself a pearl. It took a little while, but eventually I was able to kill him. He kept teleporting, and he did not give us nothing. This might be a common theme for this video. Kept mining some iron and lapis and whatever came by, really. I just needed tools so I could mine and armor as well. I also collected all these nice little aesthetic blocks as the spore blossom and the amethyst clusters. Now, I didn't have silk touch for these at this point, but I still wanted the crystals so I could craft amethyst blocks if needed. I returned to the surface and I decided to check my farm, and we got a couple pumpkins and melons and some wheat crops that had grown. So I was quite pleased, and I decided to go back down mining because at this point mining was the best thing I could do for myself while my food was growing, and mining didn't take up as much food as I needed. I also got myself some andesite. We needed some andesite for our build. I found these rooted dirt blocks, and I found some hanging roots, which was pretty cool because I don't usually see that too often. I started building foundation for this base. I did a little mix of cobblestone and andesite and gravel. That's my go-to. It's cheap, it's easy to find for almost the entire world, so regardless of the biome you're in. I soon learned that I need to be sleeping more often because these phantoms were actually pretty they were pretty annoying. They were quite the nuisance, I gotta say. But I dealt with them and I said, well, you know what? If you can't beat them, burn them. Let them burn in the sun. Someone must have said that before me. Anyways, we started digging around our base so we can put a little more foundation, extra detail blocks. I also started putting down some like detail framing on this base, and it took a while for me to design this, but I was quite happy with it. The most expensive part of this build really was the shelves and the framing for this house. I mean, it was just quite a lot of logs, and then I had to strip them all. But I began building the walls with my terracotta, and things were coming together pretty well. Then me and my friend decided to go and explore around on the river just a wee bit, just to see what was around. I needed some sand anyways, so for me it was worth it going out on this little expedition. I didn't have to go too far, but I needed that sand for glass anyways. And I needed some sandstone as well because I was going to need this for my roof. I needed it to make some smooth sandstone for my roof. You guys will see pretty soon. And again, I went back down into the mines to pick up some more building materials. Picked up some granite so I can make it into stairs for my roof. You guys are going to see, like, I was pretty happy with this. It turned out pretty well. Chopped up all this bamboo so I can make some sticks and wood and whatnot that I needed. I hate the rain in this game. Not that it's bad, I just don't like it, you know? Like, if I have a chance to sleep and take off the rain, I'd take it immediately. So we did this nice little pattern for our roof of smooth sandstone stairs and birch stairs. And to me, I think it worked really well. I think our little friend also enjoyed it. I still have yet to name him, but if you guys have a name, please feel free to share. I continued working on detailing. I also went back into the mines because I needed some mud blocks, so I decided to do it somewhere where mining the dirt wouldn't affect the terrain as much. Because I'm just that autistic, you know what I mean? I had this little issue where I was placing my water bottle, trying to use it on the dirt block, and like it was not working, and I thought I was going crazy. Then I finally realized that for whatever reason, I can't do it underneath. I can't place it on the underneath, on the bottom face of the block, but I could do it on the side face of the block, which I found just weird because what would it really change? But anyways, as you can see, I mean, just a lot of wood stripping. I'm not a good stripper, you know. The axe does all the work for me. I don't do it very often. So I grew this azalea tree because I needed some leaves from it. I was both leaves. I needed the flowering leaves and the normal leaves as well because I didn't just want one kind of leaf, you know. I wanted both of them. As we woke up again because of the rain, because I hated the rain. This is gonna be a common theme. Started placing down some bamboo blocks because this was gonna become our farm. Because I wanted something that looked a little nicer than on the side of the riverbed, especially since I had access to buckets now. You know, I didn't see the need to have it beside the riverbed, and it just looked ugly because it was all flat. So soon enough I would be removing it. Once I was done the farm, I started making the floor tiling for my base for the bottom floor. But I heard something, and I decided to go explore it, and lo and behold, there was a little Enderman friend. This property was promised to me 3,000 years ago. Anyways, we removed the vermin, and then we continued on with building our base. It's okay to not know every single thing you're gonna do in advance, right? Like this railing here, I was trying to like figure out, like I want like this open kind of feeling. I didn't want it to be like a closed roof. I didn't want it to feel too cramped. And I eventually settled with this nice little design here. It was just playing around with little blocks. And once I finally had a decent interior going, then I was able to actually bring my stuff inside and place my bed down. I hit that crazy jump, and then I proceeded to explore and climb up this hill. Now at this point I was looking for chickens, because if I could get chickens, I could basically, even one chicken, I could basically get infinite food from there with the eggs that it could drop. So I was going around, and all these animals were appearing. Now I kind of got a little off track and started killing the chickens, as you can tell. But I did bring one back eventually, and I found a second one. If you told me when I was a kid that there'd be these chickens that are orange, yellow, more like beigey, and they spawn in like these warm biomes, I wouldn't have believed you. I really wouldn't. It looks like something you would have, like as a kid, would find on these Minecraft like books, and it was about mods, you know? Like it just seemed like something that only mods could ever produce. It's quite interesting how far we've gotten at this point in time with the game. But I brought these chickens back finally after dragging them along for goodness, must have been 10 minutes at least. Dug their little pit of doom for them and led them into it. I mean, they were a willing participant. It wasn't my fault. See, even my friend, our friend there, he tried to help us. He pushed him. We funneled him right back in. I continued on the detailing. Added some nice leaves to my build. And I was just really enjoying how it was coming out. I was actually really happy. It also confirmed to me that I could kind of have a theme for this area for my like starter base. And I was quite happy with it. And it gave me ideas for future builds that I want to do in later videos. We had our first visitor. Our first victim is what I like to say. This guy is the best source of leads in the game. If you ask me, it's the best lead farm in the game. I politely asked him to leave my property, and he was escorted out with no issues at all. Here I was, acting like a fool, thinking that barrels had the same recipe on Bedrock as they did in Java. Made some campfires because I was going to use them for this detailing here as like this kind of like overhang for this window frame. I found ourselves
Another victim.
He gave us a pearl before he quickly teleported away. We then added some spore blossoms because it just looks pretty cool. It fits the build. The colors work, and the particles from those two spore blossoms, like it was just the right amount, and it just added that extra atmosphere that I was looking for. Then the next couple of minutes is just some interior decorating, placing down the necessities, finalizing some details, pots and furnaces and crafting tables and chests, just some little things here and there, and just for it to feel more like it's been lived in, and not just like recently moved into. So I finally went to go back to Savannah. Now, this time I wasn't looking for a chicken, I was looking for an armadillo because I wanted wolf armor for our friend. Because we were bringing him everywhere at this point, and I wanted to make sure that I could protect him and have him be safe. So, I made myself some wolf armor after completely destroying 2 brushes. And look at him. Look at him. He's a tank. He's a dog tank. I mean, it's just beautiful. I then raided this village. Took all the hay bales I could. Took some beds. Decided to absolutely traumatize this poor little kid for life. But he should be thankful that he's not in a trading hall, because we all know how that goes. Oh, I feel bad for the happy guest.
Real life slavery.
I went back mining once I came back from our wolf armor expedition. Mined up some redstone with our new iron pick. Found this mine shaft, by the way, and this is where most of our mining took place, actually. And we got some good loot. A golden apple. It was very appreciated. And throughout this beautiful little mining trip, we encountered a little problem. I was just mining some iron here, and lo and behold, a little friend of ours decided to drop in for a visit.
This playthrough is going so wonderfully. I love this game.
Not only did we die, we had spawned all the way back in the Savannah village because this motherfucker, that being me, decided to sleep in it and didn't even think for a second that we'd die to anything. This is the perfect start to the hardcore world. That's not even a hardcore world. You folks don't even understand. Like, this is a real challenge, okay? Now, as we were mining, when we collected our stuff that we lost, we found a zombie spawner, and this creeper had literally... I couldn't believe that my dog tanked that damage. I mean, it was wonderful. I was sold on the wolf armor. What better way to express my thanks to Mojang for the wolf armor being added to the game? Oh, I know. It's getting killed a second time by an Enderman. We got fucking comboed, and we're back in the Savannah village. Thankfully, my wolf, the loyal, good friend that he is, the good boy, he killed the Enderman for us. But god motherfucking damn, was I ever in a bad mood at this point. But we got ourselves some diamonds, and it was finally time to get ourselves that 14 sacred obsidian to really get things going in the game. Once I collected my obsidian, I obviously made ourselves our enchantment table. I went to go get some cows so that we can actually improve this enchantment table with leather, with books. Leather to make books, and books to make bookshelves, and books to make our enchantment table even better. Now I realized I didn't have a pen for these cows, so I built one quickly and told them that this was going to be their forever home. Now I have no clue if I end up killing these cows later on in the playthrough. The odds are probably yes, but I'm going to be hopeful and think that they're still alive, just to be positive. Nearly shat my pants fighting this Enderman again. I keep underestimating the damage, even though I'm wearing some armor. It's not good armor. I'm aware. I just, just a little ballsy, just a little cocky, thinking that I was gonna get it. But I did. I did. Not without completely soiling myself, but I did. I then found some more diamonds. I wanted to turn this into a mob farm. This neat little dungeon here. So I began digging around, widening the space so I can make this mob farm. Dug the blocks underneath because also these moss blocks were going to come in handy, the mossy cobblestone for building, and just neat blocks to have in general. Placed down the water so I could guide our mobs, our zombies in this case from the spawner. Guide these zombies into our little pit where we would then kill them. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. There's one set of water that covers most of the floor surface, and it brings them all into one single strip of water that then leads them into one hole. So simple funnel design. It's really nothing like super complicated. You take off the torches, they immediately spawn. Keep that in mind. Like as soon as you take off the torches, they will spawn. So you always keep that in mind with the mob farm. I dug down the 22 blocks needed. I probably should have done 23 because for some reason they're still like not one shot even with the sweeping edge, which I found strange. But I'm not fully rehearsed in the mechanics of the sweeping edge because I don't play Java usually. I then ate this poisonous potato and got poisoned for once. It was worth it if you ask me because I didn't want to deal with that useless item for now. I did more terraforming again. It's one of the easiest things for me, like funnest things to do. It doesn't ask too much thinking. You kind of just tell yourself if you like it or not, and you kind of just go with the flow of the terrain. It sounds so stupid and cliche, but it really is what it is. Once I finally finished my terraforming, I realized that I no longer wanted this farm to be here because it was basically like a sore thumb that was sticking out in the river. So I stomped it all out and curved out a more natural looking edge to it. I then made our nether portal and gave it some red sand for corners. I hadn't done that. I usually use cobblestone or dirt, but this time I used red sand. I was feeling quite posh, quite rich if you ask me. Living in squalor, if you will. I then prepared myself some iron armor because I knew for a fact that this copper armor was not going to be shit in a nether. And I was right to think that. I really was, because copper armor is great and all, but it just does not do the trick with things like Endermen, as you can see. So we finally took the big step and went into the nether. But this spawn that we were going to get, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like fantastic by any means. But I mean, right off the bat, like, we're here and we immediately get ambushed by a ghast. I mean, it's just not going well, but you know what? We were experienced with this. We'll be okay. I made a little shelter quickly around the portal because I could not afford having it get destroyed by ghasts. I did bring a flint and steel, but even then, I just didn't want to risk it, especially if like the fireball blew up and like dropped me into the lava. I found this warp forest literally right there, so that was a good news because we can get as many ender pearls as we needed without having to go in the overworld anymore for that. So that was really wonderful. And all these piglins here, the zombified piglins. These are zombie pigmen, by the way. Like, I can't believe they changed that. They're like, that was the one thing I was kind of unhappy about. But all these zombie piglins, we decided that we would get some killing done, get some experience, and also just some gold in general. And realize that, I mean, I was 3 blocks up, so my sweeping edge didn't quite work. But even then, I knew for a fact that I couldn't. I knew for a fact that if I was 3 blocks up, they couldn't get to me, which was just fine if you ask me, because I didn't want to see them either. We went back, dumped our stuff off, and had a fresh set of tools and a plan to go find ourselves another fortress, because quite frankly that was our next step. We traversed the terrain quite carefully, because you know how it works in another. You're not quite you don't want to get too ambitious and next thing you know lose all your stuff in lava, albeit we didn't have too much to lose at this point, but still didn't want to lose our stuff. So we traversed this lava lake and found a bastion right beside. This bastion was pretty cool. I liked it, but I didn't want to raid it in the slightest, because I knew that if I get even swarmed by 2 or 3 piglins, that it could be Jover. I didn't want it to be Jover, so I decided to be smart about it. I kept going, looking for another fortress, and I found this pretty cool little formation of the fossil that was just generated above, like just floating, which was quite interesting, and it even had a dried gas, and I was quite happy about that, because I love the dried ghasts. Well, I should say I love the happy ghasts. Very cute. I feel bad for the happy ghast. I really do. If you know, you know. Anyways, I collected ourselves our dried ghast, and even collected a second one later on while traversing the Soul Sand Valley. You'll notice I had a warped fungus on a stick. You'll notice that I had that in my inventory, and this was exactly why, because I knew that occasionally a strider with a piglin on it will have a saddle as well. And so I went and forgot that soul sand blocks were not a full block tall, which is why I clipped into the lava there. But I killed a piglin so I could ride the strider and go along the lava for returning back, because I had finally found another fortress, and I was quite happy because it took me a while. So I took my strider friend, we took him up into this kind of weird chasm that had like formed beside the fortress. So I figured my best plan was to dig into the fortress, which I did a bit of digging, and eventually I popped out right here. Almost fell into that lava. Good thing I was crouching. You can tell I've already dealt with this kind of stuff before. So I made my way into the fortress, looked around. I was very cautious because I knew that all it takes is getting caught on fire by a blaze and one hit from a wither skeleton, and like you will absolutely die, even with your armor. So then I got this skeleton to shoot this piglin because it was just funny, and he did all the work for me. Collected this nether wart and the soul sand along with it so I could plant it back. I further explored this fortress, killed a couple mobs here and there, whatever was in my way. I was hoping that I could get a rib armor trim from the chests. This was my goal, apart from the nether wart, obviously. Instead, I found this blaze spawner, which I was quite happy about, because blazes actually give you more experience points than other mobs, regular hostile mobs. As I was exploring, I realized that there was another blaze spawner right beside, which was great, because I then realized that I could make a farm out of this later on, and it would probably be a pretty good XP farm, like for at least something handmade, and not having to use a tutorial. So we brought our strider friend back home, bred up the cows again because we needed more of that good old leather, so we can use the skins off their backs to make our enchantments more powerful. I think it's a good trade. And our little dried gas friends, we put them in the water so they can begin the resurrection. I made some bottles so I can start making potions, because we were definitely going to need this for the Ender Dragon fight. We actually do make it, if you guys can believe it or not. We do make it to the end, and we do fight the dragon. But I'm not going to tell you how that went. But we fought the dragon. I swear we did. You guys will have to see, though. But we did. We did. We then commenced the massacre. Made some bookshelves. We had 9 bookshelves. This is great and all, but we needed 15 for the max enchantments, and supposedly I saw something that it's actually, you can put more bookshelves and there's actually like a higher level, but they just don't tell you about it. Like the quality enchantments actually do get better. I haven't tested this yet, so I have no clue if this is real. I heard a little noise when I was running outside, and it was one of our friends had just came out and was finally happy and alive. And we finally had both of them come out, and I took them out so they could go see outside for once. So I went back to the nether and stupidly decided that I take the strider and just go right on through the lava. Like, you could really tell that the thought process here was like very intelligent. Yeah, it was pretty stupid. So we died again, but we saved our stuff. We actually did like a semi good IQ play. We hit ourselves into that so we wouldn't lose anything and it would all stay there. We finally make ourselves our way back to the nether portal with 7 levels. Right here, I almost died again. Like, again. That wasn't my fault. I totally got ambushed there. I can't believe I lived from that. I really thought I was gonna die, but sometimes shit just works that way. It just worked. I collected this glowstone dust because I was going to need it for making potions later, for amplifying the potion power. Killed some more blazes for XP and also just a blaze powder because we needed that for our Eyes of Ender so we can eventually locate this stronghold. We rode back to the portal. I made like the secondary passage that was a lot quicker and more direct to the portal because I was tired of going all around that stupid path I made originally. Then we made ourselves our 12 Eyes of Ender. Now, I was being generous and I was hoping that I would probably just like have like 1 or 2 eyes in the portal, and even if I had 1 or 2 of my eyes break while trying to find the stronghold, it would still work. Yeah, it was okay though because I knew I'd be back because I don't ever go on the first try. But it is time for villagers, and I just wanted to make sure I had 2 in case. And this guy decided to come with us, so I was quite pleased with that. He literally wanted to be with his friends, and I couldn't blame him. I was bringing them, and then one of them decided to get out of a boat and hop into the freaking nether portal. So yeah, he basically killed himself. I then participated in some enchantments. I finally found a spot, marked it with a torch, and just eyeballed it for a sec to really make sure it's what I wanted, and it sure was. We began clearing out some space and flattening it out so we could accept our new residents into this fully furnished apartment complex where the rent would only be 200 a month. Nah, just kidding. We're gonna charge them fucking 3,000. 3,000 a month, no pets allowed, and no utilities. We built our houses for our villagers, built the final 15 or 6 bookshelves to make our 15 total that we needed. And I was excited because this is where we get the big boy enchantments. This is the big leagues of the big enchantments, the level 30 enchantments. I then made a harness for our happy ghast. For one of them. I don't know what color we'll give our other happy ghast, but that'll be something for the future. They were doing a little dance. I wasn't quite sure, but I was happy to dance with them too. I guess they were just happy. Was just finalizing some details, um, and I was just quite happy with the whole result of it. It was just kind of westerny. I then was trying to figure out and wrap around my head how the gas was able to carry a boat with villagers. It took me a while to figure it out. I then realized what I had to do, did it, and then off we went into a new paradise for these villagers. We're going to Tahiti! Well, who lives there? I don't know. Tahitians? So we went to Tahiti, and at this point in time, I still locked them with a fence because I was worried about a baby zombie coming in. Now, you're probably saying, dude, did you not realize that your windows with the open fence gate was going to let a baby zombie in? Yeah. Yep. In retrospect, as I'm looking at this video and editing it, yes, I realized that. I found this camel friend, and I brought him along with us because this is going to make our transportation so much quicker. We were going to use him for everything, and I was very happy to have him alongside us. He was part of the crew. So we brought ourselves into this village and kindly asked for free beds, and the villagers were very willing to give it to us. They were even willing to do it while they were sleeping. Don't ask how they allowed us, but they did. They did. They really did. I mean, they just said, and it worked. It really did. Did some AFKing at the mob farm. Went back up after I got 30 levels and just made some chiseled bookshelves just so we could store some books, enchanted books and regular books alike, and just to give it a little bit more detail, kind of like functionality, you know. I planted some bamboo because I realized that if I had villagers, I could get Fletchers, which could then give me emeralds for sticks. So I said the more bamboo I could get, well, the more sticks in that I or the more bamboo I could get, the more sticks I could get, and then consequentially, the more emeralds I can get. So I was quite happy with that. I said, that's a good darn deal. You make that deal, I make that deal any day. You could see the wheels are turning in my head, and then I broke the bookshelf and realized that I needed Silk Touch.
What the fuck?
Placed the bookshelf finally, and then I was very happy with it. The little flower pot and everything, it was really nice. Did some more messing around, and I was like, oh wait, if I place it and then wrap it around this post right here, and I said, oh yeah. I said, that looks better. Place ourselves the smithing table, so when we get netherite in the future, spoiler alert, we did not get netherite this episode, but that's okay. Then realized that I should probably get myself just diamonds in the first place because we're gonna need that. So we dug ourselves at Y53 or 54. Immediately found some diamonds. Don't ask me how, but we did. And no, I don't have X-rays or whatever. I mean, first of all, you can tell, but second of all, you can also just see that I am strip mining. I just did a whole shitload of strip mining. Needless to say, we actually got quite a few diamonds. I was quite pleased. I really was. My luck was turning out quite well. We finally made our way back up, slowly but surely, right on back up to the surface. And we had quite the haul, I gotta say. We had like over a stack of diamonds. It was quite the haul, and I was just very well pleased. The best option now was to start looking for our stronghold. But we kept going, did a lot of exploring, eyeball by eyeball by eyeball, we kept going through some mountains and forests and plains. We finally were making our way to the stronghold.
But not before we get ourselves a goat.
Our friend LeBron and I here realized that the Eyes of Ender were going the opposite direction. So what could that mean?
That's a stronghold, baby.
But we had to go into the cave like the little baby Jesus Nazareth, or however that goes. We decided to go in the cave for the night and shack it out over there. But while I was doing this, I spent way too much time trying to get this goat to charge me. And it was just not going well. Like, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. So I basically abandoned him.
I killed him.
But we abandoned him, and we began to make our way back because we had overshot. I realized, okay, we are basically above it. And I realized that my pearls were going down. I said, okay, I'll dig down and maybe find a cave, or maybe dig straight into it, right? Because I was able to kind of like triangulate the position. So I began digging down. I used this little natural waterfall as basically like a ladder for me to climb back out whenever I was finished. And I just looked around, threw an Eye of Ender to see if we were anywhere near, and it was going up, and I found it strange because I was like, damn, it's like it's quite high into the surface. But I accepted it. I dug around, and then I realized, I said, oh shit, there's some bricks right there. I said, that's good. So obviously we found our stronghold. Now it was just a question of breaking in and actually finding this portal. So we broke into this library and looted the chests, got ourselves the eye trim, which was really cool because you can never get too many trims. They all look good in one way or another. It's actually pretty cool. Then entered this room and just heard a creeper noise and just decided to keep going, like completely unaware, which was quite silly, but you could see that we just shrugged it off. Had trouble with these silver fish and I ended up finally getting them killed. And I realized that this portal was completely
empty.
So we still needed 3 more eyes in order to finally fill up this portal and open it, which was fine because we knew we were going to go into the end immediately anyways, but it was just more of an annoyance than anything. We just broke 3 eyes, excuse me, in order to get to the end. But we had some time to spare. We weren't even near this day 100 because you know what? All these folks, they're all saying 100 days in Minecraft, 200, 300, 1,000 days in Minecraft. That's you got 2 groups of people. You got that group of 100, 200, 300 days in Minecraft, or you got the group of folks who they'll say my perfect start to hardcore Minecraft, or the best start to hardcore Minecraft, or I got all this in hardcore Minecraft. It's like, and by the way, these folks, it's not anything stupid. This isn't a bad thing. These people are very talented content creators and they're very talented Minecraft players. It is not a question of that. It is actually just like you just see these 2 types of titles. So what are we gonna do? What's really gonna stand us off? What's gonna make us stand out? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna do 100 days? Are we gonna do the perfect start to hardcore Minecraft? No. We're gonna do 99 imperfect days of survival Minecraft. Not hardcore. No. That would be too risky, wouldn't it? No. We're doing 99 days of imperfect Minecraft. Now this is just a genius. This is gonna be totally genius. It's totally gonna work, hopefully. But in the meantime, we're just gonna mine some diamonds because there was not a single thought floating through our head at this point. We just wanted to mine some diamonds, get some equipment, get some tools. We want to get more diamonds. Why? Because we're greedy. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get these diamonds. Okay, we're going to mine through Skulk. We're going to strip mine. We're going to cave mine. We're going to do whatever it takes. But we want all these diamonds because we're going to need them in the future anyways, right? And plus, they're a good source of experience. Especially if you mine redstone and coal, and it's all good sources of experience. It really is. And these neat little mining segments give me chances to talk about things while you folks listen. So I hope you folks do enjoy. This video is completely out of the norm of what I do. I was playing Bedrock Edition, but with these new updates and people losing their stuff, and also it became so laggy, I couldn't do it no more. I really could not do this new version of like Minecraft that they brought out. I said that's it. I said I'm going to Java Edition, and I've played it before and everything, don't get me wrong, but it's been so long because I was basically devoted to Bedrock because of the crossplay. And now like I play single player anyways all the time, so in my mind the Bedrock I couldn't care less anymore. I'd rather play Java, and I can get these performance enhancing mods that can cure any sort of problem. It can increase your frame rate and just make the game easier on your computer. Like, yeah, you bet I'm gonna do that. So we finally came back up from our mining expedition, made some potions, prepared them and put them into a chest, and this chest was gonna be our designated dragon chest, like our fight chest, right? I made the remaining Eyes of Ender that I needed, which was 3, and just did a whole rampage on these mobs. I mean, just look at this. I am tearing through these guys just like a lawnmower, like it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. All this experience, we were finally able to get ourselves to just below 33. So what do? We mined up some coal to get to the level 33 that we needed. Because if we're gonna lose 3 levels, you might as well get to level 33, and if it doesn't work out, then you at least at level 30, so you still get another shot. Now we did 2 shots of enchantments, and it just worked out really well. We got awesome enchantments on both the sword and the bow. The bow we had infinity, power 4. I mean, power 4 is wonderful. Basically one-shots most mobs. Like, it was just awesome. We were very happy. The sword too. So we finally went to our village and began setting up some of our workers. We got ourselves some Fletchers, like I said I wanted to do beforehand. Traded some sticks. I had a cleric so that the rotten flesh from our mob XP farm, that from that spawner, we could trade some rotten flesh for some emeralds. It's all going according to plan so far, bar the dying, but we made ourselves some diamond armor, traded even more sticks, want to get as many emeralds as we can, and realized that these baby villagers are escaping the houses anyways because of, like I said, those freaking fence gate windows. It's a price to pay for aesthetics. What can I say? I found our next friend that we decided to escort out of the desert because we had to give him water before he was gonna die, and unfortunately it was too late. I went to the Nether because I had to go get something and found our little friend from before. If you forgot, he unfortunately fell into the lava. I do not know if he was pushed in by a magma cube or a zombie piglin. It was kind of not clear. But anyways, we continued on our mining for XP. We got ourselves a bunch of quartz and some gold. Um, that was the best option on our plate for something quick and easy. I soon thereafter realized there was a nice little zombie piglin sitting on the edge of this cliff. Now at this point, we are at day 91. So that Ender Dragon fight is coming real soon. Oh yeah, it's coming real soon, alright. But before we do that, you know what you have to do, because there's one thing, if there's any playthrough I've ever done in Minecraft, there's one thing you've got to do, and that is make a cactus farm. You heard me. Make a cactus farm. That's right. What's that going to do for us? I think an XP farm. We'll have all the green dye in the world, at least, I think. So we started placing down our lectern and did a lot of trade shuffling. And I mean a lot, because of course. Now, as I was doing this, we had a little friend show up. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible attack on this village. No one died somehow. None of the villagers died. The only thing that really died was the pots that I installed. But you know what? At the end of the day, it wasn't anything because it was all worth it for the mending book. I then needed a beehive before the Ender Dragon fight. Why? Because I just needed it for my build. I needed beeswax so I can make a bee nest. Well, no, that's not true. To make a beehive so I could put it on my build. But that was for another time. It was little things I wanted to get done before. Then we went back to the village because we need to collect ourselves a feather falling book. I was hoping to get it from enchantment rolls, but it just wasn't working, and I said I'll probably be better off. It'll take a lot less time just to add it onto a boot instead of trying to shuffle it, like getting the levels, and then once you get the levels, hoping that you get feather falling. Yeah. But look at our guy. I mean, we finally equipped our armor, and he is just smoking hot. It is unbelievable how good looking this feller is. So we basically prepared ourselves. We got our shield, a whole spare shield, because I knew the dragon can be like pretty whack sometimes. I wasn't quite sure what to expect because the dragon does behave differently than it does in Bedrock Edition. But we got our potions, we got everything, our enchanted golden apples, steaks. I mean, we are all set. Okay? Potions are slow falling, so that even if the dragon launches us up, we don't have to worry about nothing. You know, if you're on the pillars or whatever, like, we really, really made sure that we thought of everything. Now, you guys are going to see that I didn't think of everything. But, we will find a solution. You guys will see, because I'm going to explain it pretty soon, and you're going to want to slap yourselves on the head, face palm. But in the meantime, we made our way to the portal. Now, the build-up was quite intense because I was really just not sure what to expect from the Java Dragon. I wasn't sure if the Java Dragon was tougher than the Bedrock one, but I was here and I said, might as well. What's the worst that can happen? Took out our Eyes of Ender, placed them all in the portal, and this is the point where I realized that I was missing a bed. I had no bed in the stronghold, so let's say I died, I would have spawned back right at my base. That would have been pretty crap. It would just been so inconvenient. But I realized there was cobwebs in the library, so I dug up all the cobwebs with my sword, made a bed with a string that dropped, and then finally prepared myself, and then took the big old leap into that big old darn portal. We finally made ourselves into the end, and we were greeted with an end flash, which was pretty cool. I like these end flashes, not gonna lie. But that's besides the point right now. So we gotta fight this big old dragon. So we started digging up some blocks because this is something I overlooked. I needed some blocks. I should have bought cobblestone to pile up to the tallest pillar. So what I do, I was just checking out the behavior of the dragon. I drank a potion of soul falling immediately. I put myself in F5 so I can see around myself without looking at endermen. I found the tallest pillar immediately stacked up. Destroyed that pillar's end crystal. Completely missed it at point blank range. If you can imagine that. Completely miss. Then start shooting all the other end crystals. Now there was a couple misses here and there, but overall we kept shooting these things out, and it was going well. We already had over half of these end crystals blown out, and the Ender Dragon had yet to put up even the smallest morsel of a fight. So far things were going good. This fight is going quite well, I gotta say. Now this part scared me a bit. He tossed a fireball at us, but he was way too low. Aimed my bow at him because at this point there was only 2 more end crystals left. Teleported myself to the first one with the end crystal. Then completely
Missed the end crystal.
destroyed that one and started shooting this one. Supposedly you are able to shoot through the cracks of the iron bars. I just relegated to taking an ender pearl, teleporting up. Teleported through the iron bars, by the way. Dug myself down here to make sure I took less damage, and then broke the final crystal. Now shit was getting serious. I decided to try and take some pot shots at this guy quickly while I was sitting on the pillar because I had a good vantage point. But at this point I decided to go back down and try and lead him towards me and just get some quick shots on him. He would perch occasionally. I would get thrown, and I was very glad that I did pack these potions of slow falling, because it just saved us a lot of trouble. I was trying to get some crits with the axe, but I realized because of the potions of slow falling that I would not be able to. So I just resorted to the sword because I would get a lot more damage per second because of how quick I can keep getting the damage bonus. Got some good shots. The bow was working wonders, and everything is going more than well at this point. I'm very pleased with how it's going, and this Ender Dragon will not put up any fight anymore. I mean, he's just getting sniped out of the air. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like, this guy would have not survived Call of Duty on the Xbox 360. It's just unbelievable. He's getting absolutely clipped right now. After getting clipped, I don't know how many times by our powerful bow, he finally decided to perch, but at this point, it was too late. It was just too late. It was Jover for the dragon. It almost was Jover for me at this point, because look here, you can see I was shitting bricks again. The amount of bricks I've shot in this video, making this video and playing, like just right now, that's another whole wall of bricks that I could have made. Like, I could have built a whole foundation. You guys have no idea. But we finally killed the dragon. Finally. I mean, it has been quite the journey. I was quite surprised that we actually made it this far. Maybe you guys thought I wasn't going to beat it, and I wouldn't have blamed you either, but we did. We sure did. So we collected up all the experience that was left to collect, and boy, we had quite some nice levels. Just below 69. That's a good amount of levels. Good amount of levels. We collected a dragon egg, obviously, because you don't want to lose that. This concludes our 99 days of imperfect survival Minecraft. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the commentary, the video, the gameplay. Please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see or change, or just general feedback is always appreciated. If you guys would like to subscribe, please feel free to do so. You can always unsubscribe if you don't want to anymore. And just in general, I had a lot of fun making this video, and I'm sorry that it took me so long. I know I said I want to be more consistent, but I've been so busy working, and you know, my schedule isn't always permitting, but I really do want to get this video out for you guys. Either way, I hope you guys have a good one. Take care, okay? And I'll see you guys in the next video.